I feel like with this music, we got to start like gentle or something. It's a Monday morning. Hi, everybody. My son John and I had a big fight discussion about why he hates Mondays, and I like Mondays. So we had a Monday talk off. So welcome to our Monday talk off, Jim. Welcome to the show, and of course Mandy and Russ. But I'll pick on Jim first. Are you a Monday fan normally?
I used to be. I used to love Mondays. Yeah. Now, 2 years of not working. I don't know. I asked Tracy yesterday. I said, "Can you we're on a walk. Can you confirm with me that today is Saturday?" She says, "No, it's Sunday." It's getting worse. So now, when I was holed up in the room, I'd say, "What day it is? What day is it?" And she'd say, "It's today, Jim." And I said, "Okay, that's the only answer I need." She just answers, "No, it's today."
That's amazing.
It is today. Mandy, welcome to today. Today's today.
Thank you. It is today.
How was your weekend, Mandy?
We had a great weekend. We cleaned. We set up the studio. We did some yard work. It was great. Yeah.
We did some serious yard work, and by that I mean Blythe did some serious work. Oh, I did clean the front windows. Thank you very much.
Oh, nice. Speaking of Blythe, your bottle drive comment was the best. I've printed it and I put it on the fridge.
Because it was good.
Blythe, I'm not saying
you can pretty much understand why Blythe has to drink all that, eh? Dave brags about doing windows. Meanwhile, 48 hours of work and Dave does one and wants another trophy.
Wait, you're right. Where is my trophy?
Yeah.
Yes, Dave did the windows trophy. Here you go, sweetie pie.
It's a very small trophy.
Blythe did the front yard. She did the backyard. She did all the side lawn stuff. She did all the trimming, gardening. But I did clean the windows, the front windows, not all of them. Just the 3 front ones. So.
Just the ones people can see.
Russ, I'm getting some abuse here. Could you please turn my frown upside down? How are you doing today, Russ?
Well, funny enough, we clean windows as well. And
see?
Yeah, we looked into hiring somebody to do the yard work because there's too much of it. So, yeah.
Well, Blythe's available if you have enough booze.
Well, we're out of booze. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's a problem, but no, I had a good weekend, and I got some friends in a band called Ghost Boy.
Oh yes, I love Ghost Boy.
Love them. Famous enough. With a beaver on it. So we got a couple shirts from the guys, and then because we have a restaurant, sometimes we get these emails from the food distributors saying, we have way too much bacon and we have to sell it for really cheap. So we bought like a bunch of boxes of bacon, and we were delivering bacon care packages to our friends all weekend. And the look on their faces when they get a big bag of bacon is great.
Well, I was concerned when you said we got boxes of bacon, and then you looked at your feet. I thought you had so many you were just sitting on them.
Well, I could be. That's possible.
So Russ's underwear is made out of bacon.
Yeah, everything's bacon. Yeah.
Although at the start of the weekend,
he's wash his windows with bacon.
Higher. Yeah, because we had more boxes. But no, so we've just been sharing bacon all over Calgary with our friends who are struggling. So that was nice. It was fun.
Bacon
what
helps.
What a kind person you are.
Odd and kind.
Yes.
That's my
it's a great I take such comfort in coming back and seeing everybody. So thank you for answering the phones this morning, because otherwise I don't know what I would have done. So I'm very glad we're all here.
Couple
Jim,
windows
can you
more.
show everybody your brassiere you were wearing earlier? I think people at home would be interested to see it. How does it? Just explain what it is, because people are curious.
It's called a brooder bra. because of my the chemo month, my eyes get really dry. Oh, my glasses. You put this in the microwave for 20 seconds, and it warms up the grains, and then it warms up your eyes and creates heats it up so that oil comes, because I don't have a film of oil over my eyes. Bruder
So
bra.
that is side
I
effect
just took
of
off
chemo.
my bra.
You just whipped off your
It's
bra.
not.
It's an exciting today.
Yeah. It's Braless Monday. I thought everybody knew that.
Oh, okay. I'll
Oh, hang on, Mandy. You're fine. It's braless if you're on chemo, then you can take off your bra today.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Speaking of crafts,
yes. Yeah, that was well
wow.
done. Some segues are better than others.
All right, Mandy Stobo. We're glad. I was about to say we're glad you still have your bra on, but see, I didn't even want to say that. I just want to move past, and say, do you have any crafts for us, Mandy?
Well, I do, everyone. Happy Monday.
I'm sorry.
Welcome to In the Neighborhood with Mandy Stobo. Today we're going to do a mindful craft. So I would like us all to just tone it down for a moment, and I will get into my studio.
How does that happen?
Do I go slower with the machine?
She's going to jump off the second floor and land on her table.
Whoa! All right. So today, because it is Mindful Mondays and we have the beautiful Avnish on, I wanted to do something that's very soothing for all of us. I know that we're all going through the roller coaster of COVID and everything else. And so this is something really awesome that you can do that just really grounds you and lets your mind kind of release and get out of whack. So what you want to do, you can do this with washable markers. You can do it with watercolor. You can do it with pencil, crayons, or ink. So I'm going to use some ink, and all you do is kind of dot like certain places on your page.
Whoa.
And then you're going to do some other colors. Woo. So even this is like really meditative. So I just love it so much. So you're just going to kind of randomly do this. It's fun to do with the kids too, because there's no rules and they can kind of explore without feeling like they're, not making it perfect, which I think is something we all need to do. So you kind of take that, and then you're going to take your brush and you're just going to make shapes with them. So you're going to go around in all of these things and make some different shapes. And don't be precious about it. Mix the colors. It doesn't matter. It's just about kind of the motion and your brain looking at color and just exploring with movement on the page. So once your ink dries and you do all those shapes, I have one that's finished. You're going to take it and you're going to take some other inks and you're going to just do different patterns around it. And what this does to your brain is it just gives it a break and it allows it to adjust a little bit so that when you're done your piece, you can face the world with superhero strength and calm and get out there. So there you go. So you just take some, you can just put patterns on any of the shapes and kind of just diddle and doodle and it helps your brain and your heart. There you go.
That's great. That is beautiful.
Thanks, guys.
It's like doodling of the past.
Exactly. And it's really, really helpful. So there you go.
Now, I mean, do you want to travel before we talk about it, or do you want to talk?
Sure.
Travel, and then I have some questions for you.
Is it a fast travel or a slow travel? I don't know which way it's going.
But so when you do that, does it help you? I'll be honest with you, when I see your crafts, I think, okay, these are things I'm going to do with John, and Tess, and when I saw that, I thought the same thing. But for people that are just stressed and don't have kids, would you recommend doing something like that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think just like your hand movement, and just looking at color and shape, it really adjusts your pathways just slightly. So I think it's a good tool for us all to do when we're feeling pretty stressed.
Well, you're going to talk to a friend of yours in just a bit who's done a lot of that for you. But before we do, Mandy, I have a question for you. What if people feel like coloring today? Do you have anything for us that can help us color?
Well, today, Dave, I am doing a tribute to you and Jim.
Oh,
my
goodness.
Excited. I know. Are you ready?
Yes.
Here it is, everybody.
Should have seen that coming.
Oh boy.
I love those guys.
Aren't they the best?
So
They're the
good.
best. That's why. They're my favorite. That's why. It's not because they're bickering or their relationship. It's because they love them.
Okay, now let's do a line. One of my favorites from them, Jim. That Dave Pierce uses this one all the time. So your line, Jim, is that show wasn't half bad. Go ahead, say it.
That show wasn't half bad.
No, it was all bad.
Perfect.
So good. Oh, that is very funny. And speaking of funny,
yes.
Jim, over the weekend, did the internet get serious or did it get funny again?
It was serious on Friday for sure.
Sure.
And it's kind of serious, but in a very stupid, banal, idiotic, embarrassing, challenging way. Okay,
all right.
So
music.
You know how? Yeah, music would be great. Yeah. So
internet.
It's funny.
So it's laughing with the internet.
This just got way better.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready.
I say yeah, like I know. I don't know.
Okay, so I was thinking as these corporations have to have crisis management teams, right? And they have to have them for all sorts of things that happen. But it feels like every corporation has to have a crisis management team, and you get ready to put the picture up. Everybody has to have a crisis management team for this person here.
Well, let's see.
Right? Yeah, that guy. That guy is making industries now have to be careful about.
That's a great picture.
Because he could pick them, right? That's right. As though you got a new haircut. I like his new haircut. It just seems to fit him better.
Is that real? No.
I thought it was the Gerber baby food baby.
Yeah.
You know,
I thought it was
Boris out in the sun
after he got let out of the hospital.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So let's go to the next one here.
That's so good. I love that one.
Okay. So obviously he's got some people that listen to him. So the spread of COVID-19 is based on two factors: how dense the population is and how dense the population is. Right? And so when he says stuff, you says some dangerous stuff. Put the next one up, please.
You bet.
He's making Darwin happy, because if you don't want to quarantine and if you want to inject yourself with Lysol, it's okay, right? Because you're doing what Darwin is saying and you're creating natural selection. My wife says this all the time too. That's a case of natural selection. So this is what Trump did end of last week. He started telling people that perhaps maybe they could inject some Lysol or some disinfectant or take a really, really bright light and get rid of COVID. My body's absorbed so much soap and disinfectant lately that when I pee, I clean the toilet, which isn't a bad benefit if you don't.
No.
If you're
very efficient.
And this guy's not happy. This dude is not happy. So his crisis management team had to go out and start saying, do not in any way inject, intravenous, anything, any Lysol disinfectant, because no, you dumbass, it does not work. But did you see how many
dumbass?
Yeah, that guy said dumbass. I didn't. I would never say that, Dave. This is a kid's show.
I love it.
But you know how many calls and how many incidences of that are happening in the States? It's ridiculous.
I know, it's so scary.
So the internet is funny and scary, all depending on what he says.
Well, and here just to go off on a quick political rant, not even political. What frustrates me about his stuff is that he has sort of hijacked the economic conversation. So because he has said, well, we got to open it earlier, anyone who says my business could really use opening or could use a bit of ease up on the rules or whatever all those things are, you automatically think you're a moron because that's what Trump is saying. Yeah. Whereas the fact is there are a lot of intelligent business people and a lot of other people who have legitimate arguments, or at least want to have a legitimate conversation. And I feel badly that they can't, because as soon as they do, everybody thinks, oh, they're another idiot. And that's
he just does such a great job of creating a polarization of whatever the topic is, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, because there's plenty of intelligent reasons to say, okay, we can think. People say, what about Sweden, or what about there's intelligent reasons to try and look at other conversations, but he suddenly turns it into a circus.
Yeah, and I heard a really great, interesting comment on Friday. It would be interesting to take all the other deaths and things that are happening, like abuse or suicide, that are occurring because of all the stress that's happening right now, and put that in. And so I can imagine the people that are in charge of making these decisions are actually factoring things like that into it. And it will change some things, but you're right. Because Trump says something stupid, all of a sudden the world goes polar.
Yep.
So let's get out of that and get back to the funny part.
Although his haircut's funny.
His haircut was funny.
Yes. And the lost art of critical thinking. Remember when that was so important?
Yeah. Remember those days?
Yeah.
Those are the
good old days.
Hey, look at Mandy. Should I call? Wait a minute. Remember we had the conversation about what we do. We're doing Pat first, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to call him first, or do you want to talk about him first?
Mandy, you can call him. I can.
Why don't I call him and then you can talk about?
Face?
Yeah. Why?
We'll say the bad stuff now, Mandy.
Yes.
It's a morning show.
So Mandy, let me set you up, Mandy, just so you know. So while Pat's joining us, Mandy said, "I've got an incredible person for our hero. Let's get this Pat guy." So there's Pat. That's him. Pat's. Yes. How are you, Pat?
Oh, I'm good, but far from a hero.
Now, well, here's the thing. No. You get to listen to Mandy talk about you, so you can just be quiet. All right, Mandy, you take it.
Well, I really wanted to highlight this wonderful human today as our hero. He's definitely been a hero in my life. He has been a hero for many. He served on the Calgary Fire Department for how many years, Pat?
34.
34 years. He helps every veteran that I've ever met. We got to meet when I was doing a museum installation for the Calgary Fire Department, and Pat was my helper, and I got to meet all the veterans, and it was just an incredible experience. But one thing that was very, very special to us, besides our shenanigans and our painting together, was that we both have struggled with PTSD, and Pat is one of the very courageous and brave human beings that kind of came out with it and is vocal about it in order to help his friends and everyone else in the fire department. And so with us all going through the trauma of COVID and all of these other things at the moment, I think being vocal and open to speaking about PTSD and what it's like to try and heal that, and what kind of things we can do to help us is very important right now. I think a lot of people are going to struggle after this, and I just love you so much, Pat, and I think you are just such an incredible rock and amazing human. He also is doing live Facebook like concerts, right? Is that what it is? On every Saturday? Yeah. So he's just a shining light for so many, especially in the emergency response community, and definitely in my heart. So Pat, I love you so much. Thank you for being my hero.
No, well, it's nice. It's nice that I can affect you in that way. As far as being a hero, I had to melt down, and it was weird. Like, I went from being a total rock, you could handle anything, to laying on the floor and crying in 5 minutes. And that was in January 2013. And I basically don't remember 2013. And I couldn't have got through it without the support. I mean, we had the medical staff from the fire department that really supported me. Tanya Seelock, Dr. Tony Lint. My wife was an absolute rock. The people at the museum, when they tried to put me back in some sort of not a work environment, but more of a social environment, they let me do a little work. But I was trying to fix things that were broken in the museum, sort of thing, and clean them up and make them look better. But that was not what I was trained at. So they were just being nice to me, letting me play. And back then, I had an amazing dog who stayed with me all the time and got me. Dogs were to me were the lifeline. Yeah. So
Now, Pat, when there are a lot of people who are not just first responders, although there are a lot of those frontline people who are going through an incredible amount of stress and trauma right now that I know you help with and talk to. But even I'm thinking like there are adults right now who are supposed to be in control, right? As a parent, when we're in this crisis, I'm supposed to be in control. I'm supposed to show this is all fine. When meanwhile, a lot of parents and a lot of adults are feeling the stress of, I don't know how to handle this. What do you tell people like that are on one hand supposed to be the rock like firefighters, but on the other hand aren't feeling like that?
yeah, I think it's important to show vulnerability and the fact that you're struggling as well. If you open up and show people that it's hard for me as well, then you share the burden together. I mean, and kids are brilliant. Kids understand that you're struggling and we'll try to help. And my daughter used to come over and just put her arm around me and say, it's okay. But I mean, you can't. It's hard when you break down in front of your kids, but you try not to do that. But you try to bring them into your situation, and because the more people that are standing with you, the easier it is to hold up everything.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
I agree completely.
I love you, Patty. I love you so much.
I've watched the show a lot, Mandy, and you tell a lot of people you love them.
I love a lot of people, but
I'm not feeling that special.
Oh, come on, Pat, come on. I've only blown on paintings with straws with you, my friend.
Oh yeah. Well, Mandy's one claim to fame is when they asked me to go help Mandy with these murals and stuff, I said sure I'll help her. I'm thinking I'll be the guy that cleans her brushes and brings her whatever she needs. Usually half diet Pepsi, half diet Coke, and half regular Pepsi. But in the process, I think it's in the first day we're working together, she realizes that we have a pretty good chemistry instantly. It was kind of fun. And she says, okay, I want you to paint something over here. And I said, Mandy, I cannot. I'm not ruining your mural. No. And she makes this little frame and says, I want you to paint something in there. And I'm going, oh, God. So I sit there and I dip my paintbrush. And the first stroke of the paint coming off the brush, to me, was like magic. And I just went, oh, my God. And so I painted with Mandy the rest of the day, went home. I'm cutting the corners off boxes and using face paints from the kids, painting on the paints. I go to Michael's the next day. I buy every paint they got. I have done nothing but paint since, what was that, 3 years ago? 3 years ago that we got together. And it was life-changing. I can't draw to save my butt, but I somehow can paint. And so because they say the PTSD is actually what do they call it, like a brain injury, and apparently I started thinking with the other side of my brain, because the more analytical problem solving part that I used in the fire department, I don't like using that much anymore. So I use the more artistic side.
Amazing.
And music and art have become my savior. And without music, I never would have got through all the PTSD stuff, because with the dealing with my psychologist, we have to process all the bad things that you go through. Yeah. And the only way I could get through them is if I sung to myself in my mind, and just sung to myself, and I could get through anything. So
the best.
What a great story.
Now, Mandy, can you talk about your painting you did here? Tell us a bit about this one.
I just I did this beautiful portrait of you, Pat. I stole it from your Facebook, and I sure cried and giggled while doing it last night. I just think you're just such a special man, and I love you.
I love
So
you,
good.
Pat. That's nice, Mandy.
And I also did Dawn and Art, so I'll send that to you for your show on Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah, they were talking. Mandy was talking to the other two guys in my band yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what's interesting about whenever Mandy sees Russ or Jim or I, she gives us a big hug, says, "I love you so much," and then quietly says, "But not as much as Pat." So now we finally know who it is. So,
Well, thanks so much for letting us honor you, Pat. I love you so much.
That's why Dave is a Calgary treasure, because he knows how to lie like a son.
no, Dave is a Calgary treasure, and most people just want to bury me. So there's that.
No.
Hey,
Good
look
one.
at hey Pat. We are going to call Avnish, who's with us every Monday, to help us be a bit more mindful. Are you up for being part of this, or do you have to, or do you need to run?
Yeah, I have so many places to go, Dave.
Okay, then I'm calling Avnish, and you can be mindful right along with us. We'll see what we do. Thanks again, Pat. You're a good man, and Mandy sure appreciates you, and now it's great that we all get to appreciate you. So it's just tremendous.
Thanks very much, Dave.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
I say that hoping that Avnish then pops up and we go there. See, he's right there. But
Nice segue. Would have been nice.
I know. Wouldn't it have been perfect? My timing, it says ringing, and then it says not available. So I don't know.
Yeah.
This is where Avnish, if you're watching, dial in.
Yeah. Not connected. I mean, I tried to connect you guys. I seriously tried. Maybe.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. There we go.
There he is. Yay.
There he is. How are you, Avnish?
Awesome.
Great. Better and better. How you guys doing?
We're so
Great.
I feel like today's a very calm Monday start to the day. So you're getting us at a good space.
I feel like it's Pat that sort of set up this foundation.
Right?
Nice. So yeah, totally.
He's done that for us. He's a good man. Okay, so Avnish, we've talked about different ways to be mindful, and today you want to talk about, I hear, some kinesthetic techniques. Is that true?
That is absolutely true. So I was thinking about, we've done things like the auditory, right? So there's sort of three ways of listening. There's the auditory, being able to listen with your ears, the visual, sort of, whatever you see sort of in front of you, and then the kinesthetic, and that's the stuff that you feel, right? And sort of what's inside, and the emotional part of activating something. So we did the auditory with the affirmations, right? Mm-hmm. And so today's affirmation, after I went grocery shopping yesterday, is I smile at the people that I meet. And so I feel like everybody should be saying that right now, because grocery shopping was weird. It was skittish, and it was just such a weird sort of vibe. So that's today's affirmation, is that I smile at the people that I meet, because I want to remind myself to do that, and we can all sort of shift the balance when we do. The visual part was our mental screen, right? So when we did the roses and the apples, and Jimmy, we were talking about this idea of this visual plane that we're playing with, so that we can think about what else we can do. The kinesthetic one, which is, if you're a kinesthetic learner, I'm a kinesthetic learner, this is sort of all about how you feel about something, right? And the feelings that are emoted. And I had a teacher tell me that she said, think about what happens if your cells are listening to your thinking at all times.
Wow.
Like, yeah. What happens if right? Yeah. Like, in the responsibility now that you hold to steward yourself at a cellular level, based on sort of, where are my thoughts? And on the flip side, how do you listen to your cells? How do you listen to sort of your atomic self, your purest energy? And if we all agree that we're sort of made up of energy, right, at its most basic, we're a series of atoms, kind of put together to create physical form. How are they resonating? How are they vibrating? And what are they listening to? So the kinesthetic part of this is like, how do you connect with your own sort of energy? How do you connect with your own space if maybe the visual part is getting better, but it's still a bit fuzzy? The auditory part, which is, Beej is an auditory learner. You just tell her one thing once and she's got it locked in. I am not an auditory learner, right? Like, I don't listen well. I need to write things down. I need to feel, in order to sort of buy into it. So this feeling part is exactly that. And the exercise that we're going to run through is, so take a look. Take a look at the room that you're in, okay? Take a look around, see sort of how big it is. What are some of the corners? What are, Dave, I mean, you've got sort of a lot of places that your energy can go in that basement. You have to sort of figure out how you can fill it. You got the trophy.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Just showed up manifested.
Washing windows.
Now this is going to be the challenge, right?
Okay.
Okay. So take a moment to just sort of feel your own energy space. So whether it's your aura, just your body, right? Feeling how it's resonating, what the vibrational frequency is, how big or small it is. And I think at a time like this, where we may feel sort of alone or so small, part of this is being able to grow ourselves. And so I want you to take that vibration that you have right now, and I want you to try to push it as big as the room that you're in. And so you might be like Jamie, where you're closing your eyes, but now just feel it just pushing out as if you are literally just taking this energetic field and pushing it to the far corners of this room. And I want you to try to fill up that room with your energy, your space. Okay? Give it like 7 seconds and just push this out as far as you can. Now you can just kind of bring it back and slowly allow for it to return. So I'm pretty weak this morning. Sort of, not great. I'm only feeling it sort of like halfway through. I'm not getting to the corners. I'm not sort of pushing the expanse that I would like to. And there's sort of nothing wrong with that. It's just an indicator as to where I'm at. And so now that you sort of feel it, this emotional space of like how far or how big can you be? This is just one of those other indicators, like all the other indicators that we've talked about before, whether it's writing down your gratitude journal, taking your scale of stress. Here's a way to be able to say, okay, how big can I push myself out? And what I'm getting caught up on, really interesting, is sort of I've got some random corners in this house because I'm in the basement, right? And so I've got the bulkhead sort of on top of me here, and that's where I'm getting caught up. I'm like, oh, this is not a perfect square. So then I start thinking about how do I tuck into the bottom and then move my way out, like all of these sort of beta thoughts. Which at the end of the day, when we're working with energy, it doesn't really matter, but that's sort of an indication as to where my head is. So yeah, this is a really when you talk about manifestation and people love The Secret when it came out, but I think the one piece of like this idea of like I'm going to think about this car and it's going to show up is not about that. It's sort of about the emotion, the feelings that you have when something that you desire shows up or something that you want to achieve happens. And what are some of those feelings? That's the part that we want to concentrate on and unlock. And it's not easy. It's not easy to kind of go here, but when you're there and your emotions are just are true to who you are, it's empowering, it's beautiful, and it sort of changes the way that we can connect visualization, the auditory learning, and now this kinesthetic piece.
Well done.
Okay,
love it.
Avnish.
Really like that thought. I really like that thought of if your cells understood or could understand what you were thinking. I think that's because that's it. That's what I've tried really hard over the last couple of years is to do that, and try and stay positive, because it's easy to go dark during some days. And if you keep trying to just at least have the positive thoughts, it's like that thought of just try smiling. If you could put on a smile and watch how that changes your day, or watch how it changes those around you, and it's so true. So thanks for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's for me, it's the internal dialogue. It's given airtime to the positive thoughts as well as the negative ones, because sometimes they override. And it's like, well, why can't you talk yourself into something rather than keep talking yourself out of things? Right? It's trying to make that little paradigm shift, and then it kind of balances out a little more. And then there's room to deal with some of the negative thoughts, and you don't feel so daunting or so controlling. But that was a gradual shift for me over many years. Yeah.
Love it. I love it.
It's not an easy turn. Look at this, and we got painting, all of these things that we can use to help ourselves. And just as I don't know if this helps you guys, but if you want to drive by my house just to see the windows, I also feel like that also will help you guys really achieve.
I heard you did a really good job on one.
I really think you should, because of this show, you should actually be putting your trophies in the window now.
It's so good. Do you know what happens on Mindfulness Mondays is I try not to, but what will often happen is I okay, I got to go up and start over, because I don't know if I was really good to Blythe on the weekend.
Oh, that's my every day for me.
Oh, you guys are good people. You know what Pat was telling me earlier, you guys don't know this, but he called ahead of time. He said, guys, I don't care what we do on the show as long as I get to dance. So
yeah, that was it.
Hey, there we go.
Nice work.
So sweet.
So speaking of energy and positive, nobody brings positive energy to music like Russ Broom does. So Russ is going to play some music. We all get to dance, and we'll see everyone tomorrow for more of this in the neighborhood. Take it for us, Russ.
The Given Her.
I've given her.